Alright, what type of music should I use for this video? Oh wait, hold on. Yeah, I think this will probably work. Now, I'm not a game developer. I never have been, but I don't think I need expert experience to say that designing 155 unique characters in a competitive game is incredibly difficult. It's so difficult that not even Riot Games, the people I'm alluding to, have accomplished that feat. Jokes aside, the amount of unique champions Riot has made when locked behind 4 abilities and a passive is incredible. For example, Lux is a mid-range mage that can one-shot anyone in the mid to late game, and Nico is a mid-range mage that can one-shot anyone in the mid, late, and early game. Okay, actually done with jokes now. This video is subjective. Obviously you're gonna think that another champion is more interesting than I do. That's how opinions work. But if you do disagree, you probably should have made your own video about it. Kindred is the second of League's marksmen created with the goal of making marksmen play differently from each other, the first being Callista, who is a nightmare champion created from the 9th circle of hell with one functioning ability and a passive that gives me a brain aneurysm whenever I think about it. So compared to her, Kindred worked out pretty well. After Kindred, there would be a lot more interesting marksmen to be released. For reference, the marksman right after them was Jhin, but to this day they remain an incredibly unique and thrilling gameplay experience that rewards excessive mastery of the champion and punishes picking them in any team composition ever. So let's get into why. Kindred's most unique marksman trait is that they're actually a jungler, not an ADC. And yes, I said they because there's actually 2 parts of Kindred. The Lamb, whose character you control, who's the one who takes the lives of those who've made peace with death, and the Wolf, who's the one who takes the lives of those who resist death, usually in a very brutal way. I'm not here to talk about lore though, go read that on your own. Kindred's passive is their bread and butter. Every 40 seconds, Wolf will mark an enemy jungle camp, and every 75 seconds, Lamb can mark an enemy champion on a little taskbar, and after 8 seconds it'll prime on that champion. Getting takedowns on anything with a mark on it rewards Kindred with a Mark of the Kindred, which permanently increases the strength of their Q, W, and E. The first 4 stacks will also grant 125 bonus range, and every 3 stacks after that adds a little extra 25, up to a total of 250 bonus attack range at 25 stacks. For those asking, why doesn't it go forever? It's because she'll outrange towers. Lamb will just shoot towers, and they can't shoot back. This is my absolute favorite passive in the game, tied with Lilia's Q passive, since who doesn't like going at Mach 5 all the time? The bonus attack range turns Kindred into a basically unstoppable force with enough stacks, and the stuff added to her Q, W, and E can be worth lots of free gold other champions just can't get. The only problem with this passive is that it can sometimes be impossible to get stacks. Since everyone including enemies can see the jungle marks on your map, you'll need to be incredibly deft in grabbing it, or have a couple teammates there to counter the whole enemy team collapsing on you. Marking champions can be even harder sometimes. Like I mentioned before, it takes 8 seconds for the mark to prime once you choose someone, and the enemy can see themselves being marked while this happens. 8 seconds in lane is ample time to run under your tower and make the gank impossible. Imagine you were playing pool, but whenever you called the 8 ball's pocket, the pocket had your entire swing to just move to a different location. Either way, the passive is still really interesting and allows you to snowball harder than somebody who accidentally fell when climbing Mount Everest. Kindred's Q, Dance of Arrows, takes everything cool about Callista and puts it onto a champion whose very design doesn't make me want to reconsider my stance on the death penalty. Spoilers, I'm against it right now. Lamb hops in a target direction and shoots 3 arrows at nearby targets, which will prioritize whoever she's hitting when cast, as well as gaining bonus attack speed that scales with her stacks. This ability lets her go toe-to-toe with other junglers, since it gives her chase potential, kiting potential, early game damage, and a hop over walls if they flash away. It's also an auto attack reset, so you can get that juicy one more auto attack in there. Kindred's W, Wolf's Frenzy, takes their chase potential to an all-new level. Wolf sets up a zone where he'll auto-attack the person Lamb is hitting for current health magic damage, scaling with stacks, and anytime Lamb casts her Q in the zone, its cooldown is set to as low as 2 seconds, scaling with level. At max Q rank, placing W gives you 4 Qs, which means 4 chances to dodge abilities or kite away from dangerous opponents. Another part of this ability is that Lamb builds up stacks by walking around and attacking, and at 100 stacks, Lamb will heal for a portion of her missing health. If that sounds familiar, it's because it's fleet footwork. Riot noticed that Kindred's jungle clear was a little harsh, so they said, here you go dude, this rune's on the house. Now a lot of people when discussing Kindred's flaws say that they do no early game damage, which makes it hard to secure stacks in a timely manner, and honestly, I'd agree if their E didn't exist. Thankfully, it does! Kindred's E, Mounting Dread, is a point-and-click ability that marks the target enemy, slowing them by 50% for 1 second. If Lamb successfully auto-attacks them 3 times, the third auto-attack sends out Wolf to deal bonus physical damage and a portion of missing health damage, scaling with stacks. This ability also critically strikes if the target is below a certain amount of health, starting at 15% and scaling up with crit. Holy shit. The damage on this ability is so stupid. Proccing it on an early gank has the potential and very frequently does just remove someone from the game completely. Especially since press the attack damage stacks on top of it. If you bring press the attack and you're feeling brave and you want to bring smite ignite instead of smite flash, at level 3 you're gonna be doing like Kha'Zix levels of damage to people. It's not even funny. And all of this is from a range too, they're not even close to you if they're a melee champion. Alright, so far Kindred is a marksman jungling with 4 dashes, an attack speed steroid, insane early game burst damage, fleet footwork, a focus on counter jungling, and the potential to become an unkillable god champion with insane snowballing passives. That's pretty good for uniqueness points. Hell, all we would need now is an impactful and incredibly deep ultimate that has its own completely separate skill ceiling to learn. Oh wait, they have that too. Kindred's R, Lamb's Respite, is on par with Bard's ultimate for easiest to fuck up. Lamb places a circular zone around her, and for 4 seconds, anybody standing in it, once they reach 10% maximum health, is unable to be healed or take any damage in any way. And yes, I mean everyone. This applies to allied champions, ally minions, enemy minions, jungle camps, dragon, elder dragon, baron, Tibbers, Daisy, Maiden of the Mist, your O10 Yasuo, your Inting Vayne ADC, your ex-girlfriend, literally anyone standing in the zone is completely invulnerable. After 4 seconds, anybody still in the zone is healed for a flat amount and the zone disappears. With such an impactful effect, this ability can allow for some completely impossible shit to happen, but it can also be a double-edged sword since doing it wrong can destroy everything for your team and yourself. You can tower dive with it, but make sure you kill the person before you use it, otherwise you're going to be taking a lot of tower damage as well as damage from a pissed off top laner once the effect ends. Are you about to die from Zed's deathmark, but your Diana just hit a 5-man ult? You probably shouldn't ult yet, otherwise you're going to be seeing the defeat screen and a really angry Diana player, since none of those enemies are going to die. Alternatively, are you getting jumped by Diana? Ult yourself and hop away once the effect ends, and congrats! You've successfully denied Diana of all of her burst. And these are just a few examples. If I had all day to explain the ways I've outplayed an opponent and completely fucked over my team with this ult, I would, but that's too much writing to do and frankly I don't remember all of them. So that's everything. Put it all together, and Kindred is a champion who requires marksman microplay, jungler macroplay, great positioning, an understanding of lane ganks, vision control for counter jungling, a knowledge of jungle camp timers, extensive knowledge of team fighting for her ultimate and target priority, and most of all, a nice friendly frontliner who can keep Kha'Zix off of her. It's in these things where I call Kindred the most interesting champion in the game, since they're the only champion I've seen that puts the game on hard mode. Like, sure, there's bad characters, but Kindred has the most odds stacked against a champion I've ever seen before in my life. They're a jungler with low base HP, which makes clearing hard. You have to accurately call out which lane you're going to gank for stacks. You have to walk into the enemy's jungle for stacks, which is oftentimes filled with Kha'Zix or Xin Zhao ready to clap your lamb chiefs. And if you manage to do all of that right, or at least well, in the early game, you're now playing the character archetype that requires the most amount of micro skill in the game, with your only defensive maneuver being a small hop away and a zone that makes both you and the person trying to kill you have to mind game each other when the 4 seconds are up. It's an insane balancing act, but the payoff is so worth it, because if you manage to do well in this champion, even after all of that, the dopamine rush is like nothing else. That's why I stick around. New items have kinda ruined this final part, but Kindred's build path used to be very cool. The standard Kindred build was to go Warrior Enchant into full crit, however if you were against a tankier team you instead opt for Blood Razor into Black Cleaver, then into Runins or Mallet for a Bruiser Tank Shred type of build. Different build paths were fun, but ultimately it left them feeling a bit weak off of their first items, since building Warrior was missing attack speed and building Blood Razor was missing damage. Season 11 items have helped Kindred a severe amount, since Kraken Slayer gives you the damage of Warrior enchant, does away with the useless cooldown reduction on them, and instead adds attack speed and crit. Kraken Slayer is basically the beautiful combination of Warrior and Blood Razor. It's Wood Razior, if you will. And yes, I did just insert this part of the video so I can make that one joke. Kraken Slayer into Collector with 4 marks has outputted the most damage I've ever seen this season, and I've been fighting for my life against Lee Sin for the past 6 months. It's actually insane how all this champion needed was a bit of item streamlining, and now they can hang with top junglers. Well, as long as they don't have a point-and-click dash and you know how to use your ultimate correctly. I've never in my life been good at conclusions, but I'll try my best. Kindred is a really cool champion because it's a case of a bunch of strange elements coming together to make something great. It can be incredibly frustrating to play this character at times, but when it works, it just works. Kindred's always been the champion I look at and I say, man, I should play them more. And now that I have, I hope that everyone does as well. I hope I made you understand just how sick this champion can be, as I think they're one of the many testaments to how creative Riot Games can be when they're not being held at gunpoint to release a champion in time with the KDA event at Worlds. That's right, I fit 2 bits of Seraphine slander in one video. Final thoughts. Spirit Blossom Kindred is in the top 5 skins Riot's ever made. Riot should give my account that Spirit Blossom event chroma for the skin since I bought the pass and just forgot to cash in my tokens. And I forgot to mention, but Kindred can just completely destroy epic monsters. Like, as long as you have even just someone like slightly tanky on your team to tank for you, you can grab Baron like as soon as it spawns. It's insane and I recommend you give it a try, it's hilarious. Anyway, like if you liked it, subscribe if you want to see more, the generic YouTube stuff. From the bottom of my heart, thank you all so much for watching. I love you all, and I'll see you all in the next one. Goodbye.